The night the ocean almost swallowed me, I realized something terrifying. The dream we were chasing was never meant for people like us. The boat groaned like an old man dying, wood cracked beneath our feet as waves slammed against its sides. Somewhere in the darkness, a woman screamed, clutching a baby wrapped in a wet Ankara cloth. The child wasn't crying anymore. That silence frightened me more than the sea. I held the edge of the boat and whispered the words my grandmother used to say whenever danger was near. May the ancestors see us through the night. But that night, even the ancestors felt far away. My name is Obinna Okafor, son of the red earth of Igboland. Back home they used to say, a man who leaves his land leaves his shadow behind. I laughed whenever elders said things like that. I thought it was the usual village wisdom meant to scare young men. I was wrong. Very wrong. It all started in my village, Obinna Okafor, where the mornings smelled of roasted corn and damp soil. The rooster would crow before sunrise, and women with bright headscarves would sweep their compounds while greeting each other. Atutu Oma. Good morning. Life there was simple. Hard, yes. But it had a rhythm. The kind of rhythm you don't appreciate until it's gone. My father was a palm wine tapper. His hands were rough like tree bark, and his laughter could fill an entire compound. Whenever he returned from the bush, he would place the calabash on the ground and say proudly, Obinna, remember this proverb. When the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. But I didn't want deep roots. I wanted wings. Every evening the village boys gathered around Chike's small television powered by a noisy generator. That television was our window to another world, a world of shining cities, tall glass buildings, and people who never seemed to sweat. Europe, America, the Western world. On the screen, men drove cars that looked like spaceships. Women wore clothes that sparkled like Christmas lights. Streets were clean. Money seemed to grow like mangoes. And slowly, quietly, a poison entered my heart. The poison of comparison. Then came Uncle Afani. He returned from Italy one December, stepping out of a rented SUV, wearing dark sunglasses, even though the harmattan dust had turned the sky pale. Children ran behind him shouting, Oyabo! Oyabo has come. He threw euros around like a king feeding pigeons. Europe is heaven, he told us that night while drinking palm wine. Money flows there. If you're hardworking, in 5 years you'll build a mansion. 5 years. That sentence changed my life. My mother begged me not to go. Obinna, she said softly, holding my face. The road that promises gold sometimes leads to graves. But dreams are louder than mothers. I sold my father's motorcycle. I borrowed money. And one dusty morning, with a small bag and a heart full of foolish courage, I left Obinna Okafor. The journey began with buses that smelled of sweat and diesel. Nigeria to Niger. Niger to Libya. Every border crossing peeled away a little piece of our humanity. At first we were travelers, then migrants, then cargo. In the Sahara Desert I learned what silence really means. The desert is not quiet. It whispers death. Our truck broke down once in the middle of endless sand. The driver shrugged and said in broken English, If you cannot walk, you stay. 2 boys stayed. By sunset, the desert had swallowed them. No graves. No prayers. Just wind. That was the first time I felt fear crawl into my bones. But still, I continued, because turning back meant shame. And in Africa we say, a man would rather wrestle a lion than return home defeated. Libya was worse. Much worse. There were prisons disguised as houses. Men with guns who sold human beings like goats in a market. We slept on cold floors packed together like sardines. Some nights you could hear people crying in different languages: Hausa, Yoruba, French, Arabic. Pain has no accent. One evening, a tall Ghanaian man named Kwame whispered to me, Brother, Europe is not the dream. It is the bait. But by then it was too late. We had already paid the price. Then came the sea, that black, endless monster. The smugglers pushed nearly 100 of us into a rubber boat meant for maybe 20 people. The engine coughed like it had tuberculosis. One of the smugglers laughed. If God loves you, you reach Italy. If. That word haunted me. Halfway into the night, the waves grew angry. Water began filling the boat. Someone started praying loudly. Someone else started screaming. A man jumped into the sea trying to swim. We never saw him again. That was the moment I understood something terrifying. We were not travelers. We were sacrifices. Offerings to the illusion of a better life. When I finally reached Europe, I expected relief. Instead, I found cold. Not just the weather. The people. The streets. The silence. Back home. Even strangers greet you. A woman selling tomatoes can call you my son. Here, nobody looks at you. You become invisible. Or worse, unwanted. I washed dishes in restaurants where customers refused to sit if they saw me. I slept in rooms with 10 other men who all carried the same haunted eyes. Men who had left their shadows behind. One winter night, standing alone under a streetlight, I asked myself a question that still echoes in my soul. What did the Western world give me? Money? Maybe a little. But what did it take? My father's laughter. My mother's cooking. The smell of rain on red soil. The sound of drums during village festivals. The feeling of belonging somewhere. It took my roots. Years later, when I finally returned home, my village looked the same. But I had changed. My father had grown older. My mother cried when she saw me. And as I walked through Obinna Okafor, children ran past me laughing. For the first time in years, I heard the evening drums again. That was when I finally understood the meaning of my father's words. When the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. I had chased the wind and nearly lost my soul. So if you are listening to my story somewhere tonight, dreaming of distant lands and shining cities, remember this African saying. The grass may look greener across the river, but many bones lie beneath it. And some of those bones belong to dreamers like me. My name is Obinna Okafor. And this is what the illusion of a better life took from me.